I got to say, with this next note here concerning a couple Oregon quarterbacks, because I saw that they had committed, I should say, two of the top 100 players in the nation, both quarterbacks. One, Akili Smith; the other one, a guy that we've talked about in Jaron Siwi Sagapulatelli. So I don't even. I was in the process of trying to guess which one we're talking about here.
Well, it's neither one of those
Oh,
two, but again, 2026 is loaded with quarterbacks. We talked plenty about the 2026 class. I think this is one of the top classes that really has a consistent 4-star, 5-star quarterback. That guys that we've talked about, from Ryder Lyons to Keyshawn Henderson to Landon Duckworth, who we'll talk a little bit later. The 2026 class is just loaded with overall athletic talent. But when it comes to the quarterback positions, I feel like this is the class that a lot of top programs, especially in the SEC, have really decided to kind of test the waters, Mark, as far as going all in and not a transfer quarterback, but going into that 2026 high school class and possibly building. But could the Oregon room be a little too full for this next guy? He's a 2026, been on the rise, catching plenty of eyes. He's a commit. Jonas Williams, he's on the rise, but is he on the move? Like I said, those are Oregon has done a good job of landing some top QBs despite the movement back and forth. And is this getting a little too close for comfort? Lincoln Way East quarterback Jonas Williams, he's really drawn a lot of attention. Of course, Ole Miss has been in the mix. Lane Kiffin is really pushing. This is a kid that Lane Kiffin is really hoping to bring down his way, putting in an offer, making a personal visit. But again, I don't know if Lane Kiffin's going to win this battle, and it might be okay because he's got a couple other quarterbacks on his eye. But again, no different on Saturday. He continued to impress down in NOLA with his arm, with his ability. Maybe not getting the most reps, but again, definitely showing why he's become an elite quarterback and a blue chip. But again, prior to his commitment to Oregon, LSU was the one who had to bow down gracefully, and they lost Williams' commitment. But they are going to be one to watch. Like I said, despite him being committed, a school that really wants a kid, they never really stop recruiting you. And LSU is one of those schools that, despite Jonas Williams being committed to Oregon, they still continue to recruit him. So look for LSU to continue to build. It appears that they are really still in the high graces and still in constant contact with Williams, hoping that they can kind of sway him. There's a lot of things looking up this offseason in LSU, and the Bayou Bengals definitely look to attract Williams, but not so fast. Lincoln Riley has really tried to bring some star power, some sensationalism, to really bring a more all-around offensive scheme down to SoCal. And can he do it with Jonas Williams? He's another guy who, and USC and the Trojans, who are definitely trying to be in the good graces. There hasn't been any confirmation of visits and so forth, but those are two teams to watch that are really trying to pull at the heartstrings and really try to make Jonas Williams feel that maybe that Oregon quarterback room right now might be a little too close for comfort. Why not come to not too far to SoCal and be that guy? And LSU is definitely trying to make up for losing the first time. They're definitely trying to show the change down in Baton Rouge and what playing in the SEC, what kind of momentum developing in the SEC. They're really looking to kind of turn the tables and try to make a good flip here. So that'll be an interesting recruitment. Again, like I said, Lane Kiffin is not too far behind, but it appears that LSU and USC are looking to flip Oregon QB commit Landon Williams, to their respective programs. Jonas Williams, not Landon Williams.
And of course, quarterbacks are only valuable if they're still upright and not on their backside. And that's one of the reasons why the second highest paid position in the NFL is offensive tackle. And there's a good one in Jackson Cantwell, who's a 5-star. And so who's in the mix for him?
Well, there was a lot of offensive tackles that have really gone high value. They're 4 or 5 star pluses, as we like to call them, with some of the recruiting services that were representing this weekend in NOLA. But Jackson Cantwell is kind of the guy that really had the buzz as far as the top OT elite blue chip guy. You can't miss him with his 6'7.5" frame, roughly about, out of Nixa High School in Missouri. He has narrowed the playing field, picking his top schools. Obviously, Georgia has really made a huge push for him. Miami, Michigan, Missouri, Ohio State, Oregon. Um, he's looking to possibly make a decision this off season prior to his senior year, but nothing has been confirmed. He kind of shared that the fact is there's that all of these schools he could see himself up. That's what makes the decision so tough. Right now, most of these guys can say, well, I'm really hot on this school, or this school really is. But Jackson Cantwell is not there yet. He's just says he's really tough time, really narrowly down. He plans to take some visits. Like I said, Georgia seems to be the front runner from the outside looking in. They've been the one who's really recruited and built the most relationships with him, had the most contact, really have never let off the gas as far as his recruitment, and he's built a really strong relationship. But Cantwell has shared each one of these schools that I've talked about. I plan to visit. Um, Now the dark horse to watch, who could really be the spoiler, and I know that TJ is really going to like this, and I'm sure he's talked about it on the Michigan channel. So if you want more on Jackson Cantwell being the dark horse and landing 5-star recruitment, I'm sure TJ and company over there at our Voice of College Football Michigan channel are cooking things up. I really like Michigan in this one. And I say this because in the age of NIL, as far as offensive linemen, Michigan has really stepped up its game. Like I said, we see it every time in the NFL. The offensive tackle is a much loved position, obviously, because invested. But Michigan has become really a destination for offensive linemen, not only because the NIL package that they've managed to put in this past recruiting cycle, with not only some unique elements that I think Cantwell would be interested. But Michigan has always been one of those places where they have really showed genuine love and recruiting offensive linemen. And I really think that those two key things in the mix really puts Michigan in a strong footing. Not that Georgia and some of these other schools, but I think Michigan is one of those schools that sets itself apart because they really do value the position of offensive line. It's not just a bunch of fluff where they're saying, we love you, we want you, we can offer you, this amount of much of money, and then it dies down. They love their offensive linemen. They show them through their actions, and I feel like Jackson Cantwell, with their so much lack of separation, where he said it constant over and over. There's no clear front runner. I could see myself at all these schools. Michigan above Georgia, I really think has that edge because they've just shown historically across the line, across the board how much they value their offensive line and very much be welcomed at Michigan. So while I think Georgia has the lead from the outside looking in because they've had the strongest, longest relationship in trying to land him, I really do believe that Michigan will find a way and have the edge because they just have a long standing value in the offensive line position. And I think that is something that a kid like Cantwell values. He knows that going to any one of these programs that he's named here, he's going to find, as far as the financial end of the package, it's going to come to him. He's going to be valued. But I do believe in what you hear from Cantwell when he speaks to media and kind of what he talks about is he's looking for the long haul. He wants to look like a place that not only going to value him as an offensive lineman, but more importantly is going to set him up, outside of the world of football.
Of course, after spring practice in May and June, a lot of these individual team program camps get revved up with a lot of the younger players in the high school ranks trying to impress for a couple of years down the road. But in regards to the big and national camps, it's almost time to go to camp again here. I know you're keeping track of Kaidan Prothro, a top tight end who's got a number of suitors there in the SEC.
Camp season is officially kicked off this weekend in Carrollton, Georgia. the Under Armour camp season was welcomed hundreds and hundreds of prospects, not just of the 2026 class, but some of the top talent. But probably the headlining guy, let's change a little bit, still talking on offense, but a position we don't talk a lot about and doesn't often have a lot of elite rankings in this, in, when we talk about the recruiting. But, Kaidan Prothro is an elite blue chip tight end that everybody, every top program, every top conference has been looking to land. And the question is, some of the names we're going to mention obviously are the typical ones that we would expect to hear, especially when it comes to landing elite programs. But the one I'm interested to see that can make a late push is Texas. Can Texas make up for lost time? And I say this because Texas is trying to creep in landing a visit. Prothro says he's going to end up being at Texas, and it looks like they are going to close his officials. But I say this because Texas has yet to see him step foot in Austin. They have a lot of recruiting ground to make up. And with him being such an elite prospect, can Steve Sarkisian really be able to, up the names that we're going to talk about? So again, this is a kid that, I use a phrase a lot, the same as advertised. Kaidan Prothro, when you see him coming off the bus, he checks every box. He's as advertised. When you see his offer sheet, his offer sheet is one that you would be envious of. There's every program from top to bottom, from every conference that wants this kid on their offense as a tight end. He's got a remarkable speed, deceptively speedy, and of course his frame, is massive. So again, he fits all the typical, checks off all the boxes, like we like to say in recruiting, as far as the tight end position. And not only does he excel on the football field, Mark, he is not just a dual sport athlete. He's a tri-sport athlete, a three-time state champion in football, also plays basketball and also plays baseball. So when you're talking about a kid who really brings a lot of athletic ability to the table, his name is right by it. His picture is right by it because he is as advertised. He definitely has no problem adjusting. Obviously, most are recruiting him as tight end, but it'll be interesting to see. He's one of those players that you really could make it a plug and play guy, possibly as a big bodied end wide receiver. But for now, everybody's recruiting him at a tight end. But again, he's one of those players that has so much athletic ability, so versatile, that could easily be used in the playbook at a lot of different areas as far as the offensive playbook. But for now, he's kicking things off in Athens, Georgia on May 30th. He's set to visit Georgia. He's going to be heading over to Tuscaloosa on June 6th to see Bama. Then he's also going to go to the rival Auburn. Like I said, Hugh Freeze is not going to let any top recruit get out of his mix. Auburn is a name that you're definitely going to be hearing a lot about. He's set to hit the Plains on June 10th. But again, Florida, also another program making a big push for him. Obviously, DJ Lagway, being the young quarterback he is, has also been on the recruiting trail, helping recruit a lot of the top young high school talent. And definitely Prothro could be one of those guys that they use in early on. So Florida is definitely gaining momentum, set there to be June 13th. And of course, can Texas make up for lost time? They come a little bit later to the mix. But as of now, Prothro says he's going to be visiting Austin for the first time on June 20th. So clearly, when it comes to officials, why I say that this is a huge deal as far as Texas being able to earn a visit. When it comes to official visits, as far as these guys, especially like top guys, we have to remember that it usually goes to the guys, the programs that have been recruiting the longest with the strongest relationship. So it's really interesting to see in the last couple of weeks what Texas has brought to the table. So we'll definitely be talking to some of our Texas insiders to get more info. What Texas is bringing to the table to be able to earn an official visit, because there's a lot of programs that he's visited that aren't getting officials, that probably been in more contact than the staff has at Texas. So again, and it could also be, with Arch Manning coming up as the next guy on deck, why not have another young guy with a lot of talent like Prothro be up in the mix too? So it's going to be interesting to see what Texas has brought to the table to, to close the show and earn that visit. But again, I look for Florida to kind of be in the dark horse again. I like what DJ Lagway is doing up there, and I think Texas and Florida bring a unique mix to the table, because I think unlike the other programs, they're willing to possibly bring on Prothro in a lot sooner, as far as a competition, to possibly earn a 1 or 2 string start. So I really like where this is going. Those are two programs that are anchoring on young quarterbacks in this upcoming season. So I think Prothro, as far as Florida and Texas, might have a slight edge as far as my dark horse choices. But again, I think it's going to be interesting to see the chemistry and what Texas is bringing to the table late in the game to be able to earn an official visit for one of the top tight ends in the country.